I guess. I'm packing. Let me show you. There's a bunch of stuff I'm going to take with me on the van journey. All kinds of goodies. But yeah, I'm filling up my Dr. Bronner's and my dish soap and my laundry soap to take with me, and I dumped it all over the floor. So the people who are buying the house get a free mopping job. 100%. And cleaned. I literally shampooed all of this nice fabric there. All these fabric seats. The whole van kind of has that style going on. If you watched the last video, you know. However, anyway, you see that, for example, here behind me, I have these windows open. I have the side window here, the big one, open. And when I'm sleeping, obviously that's not going to be ideal. So I've made some panels and attached them with Velcro. You can see the Velcro here that I attached. I was going to do a wire system where they slide on the wire, but I figured that that's going to cut them a bit because wire is sharp, especially if it's thinner, and the bigger, wider gauge was harder to bend and work with. So anyway, I'm a bit of a self-taught sewer of sorts, and I make very strange things not to pattern because I just throw it together and see what happens. So here we go, I'll show you this. This is the panel I made. We've got a full moon, gibbous moon, half moon, some mountains, a river, and then at the very bottom there's this psychedelic tree line. So that's kind of the scenery, and it does a really good job to block out the light because I did it double thickness. You can actually see through with the light. To the back side is this just kind of green leaves pattern, and you can see I've got my feather set up here, so that is nice. One final touch, you know, before I go down to get it filled up with a bedding platform and some cabinetry that Steve is going to do instead of this sort of truck bed liner back with a glass divider. Instead of that setup, for now I'll sleep on this sturdy bed here that lays down flat. But also there's this fun story where it's not very fun actually, it's pretty sad. My best friend and I were traveling in Utah, and we had been there for 10 days. We were doing a car camping tour, and I had this hat that I had found. I'd always wanted a Stetson my whole life because I heard a story about a cowboy who was stuck in a desert, and he was stuck there for 8 days. He had been bucked off his horse, and he was older, and he had broken a hip, and nobody knew where he was. And you know, when you're out on the range in some of these big prairie lands and farmlands, there's a lot of range to cover, so people didn't find him for a while. And while he was stuck out there, it rained, and in his Stetson he caught some water, and that is what they say kept him alive. And I heard that story, and I was like, well, fucking Stetsons are badass. I want to be a badass like that guy, so I want a Stetson. And I was in a thrift store one day, and I just so happened to find this Stetson. They're really expensive if you don't know, and this one was like $10. You know, sometimes these thrift stores don't know what they have found. And so I bought it, super stoked that I got the Stetson, and literally the next day I found a falcon feather. And so I had a falcon feather in my Stetson hat. And so when my best friend and I were on this car camping tour in Utah, to all the national parks there, I wore my adventure hat wherever we went, and I had my falcon feather, and it was very special to me. And at the end of this trip, it was had been a few hard days. We went to Zion, and Zion, if you've never been, is just fucking retarded with people. Like, there are thousands and thousands of people just everywhere. You're in the desert, it's fucking hot as shit, and there's millions of people around, and it's so annoying. I hate being around that many people. It's a beautiful place, and I really wanted to be happy with where I was at, but instead I was annoyed that there were so many people there. So anyway, we had a hard day. We had found a different spot to camp because camping in Zion is really, really not cool. Maybe you feel differently if you go, but your camping slots are like right next to the next person, and there's just all these people, and it's honestly the type of people who don't really go to enjoy nature, I guess. They go to like be loud and scream. I don't know. I'm kind of an asshole like that. Like, I want to go be in nature and be quiet and chill the fuck out, and that's part of what I love about it. And so that had been very annoying. It was very hot. We were kind of dirty and like needed probably to wash our clothes, and you know, like you're tired after 10 days of just driving constantly. And so we finally got back. We ended in Las Vegas, which again is one of my most like hated places on the planet because it's just packed with a bunch of mindless people who are barfing on each other. And like, I just hate it. I hate Vegas a lot. So we had finally gotten to the end of that trip. It was an amazing trip in every other regard. I swear to God, it was the best. We dropped off our rental car. We went to the airport. We were about to fly out, and I realized that I didn't have my adventure hat, and I realized I had left it in the rental car. And I started bawling, like just loudly crying in the bathroom. And my best friend Shauna was in the stall, you know, and she heard me and she was kind of like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, what happened? And I was like, I forgot my hat. I was like inconsolable. And well, you know, I fucking buckled down, whatever. I got over it. We got on the plane and we left, and we tried to call the rental car place. We emailed a million times. Well, they don't care. They don't care at all. Who knows who has that Stetson. I just hope that it went to someone who can appreciate its beauty and glory and that fucking feather. And so that was 2 years ago, I think, 2.5 years ago or so. And the other day I saw my best friend, probably for the last time before I go on this amazing van journey. And it was at my nephew's first birthday party. And it was a super cool day. We were having fun, and she pulled out a present. She's like, this one's for you. And I opened it, and it was this hat. And it's not a Stetson, but it's better than a Stetson because it's this hat. And this is my new adventure hat. And it's the exact same style that the Stetson was, with the sort of weave and these edges that come up. So my best friend is the best friend that you could have. And I'm very lucky to have this support on my journey. I'm not going to cry again right now, I promise. But anyway, this is my adventure hat in my adventure van. And this is my test to see if I can edit and produce something and put it out for you guys to watch my journey. Also, side note, I have fully planned out the first leg that I'm going on. Should be that I go Portland to Santa Cruz to Colorado Springs to let's just say Pincher Creek, Canada, Banff National Park, Laird Hot Springs, Denali National Park, over towards Anchorage in Alaska, and then back down to Skagway, and then I'll take the ferry back down to Bellingham, which is near where I am right now. It's near where I'm starting. So leg one of the journey has been pretty well planned out, and I'm very, very excited to start very soon. Got 2 days left before I go. My mom's gonna go with me, so I'll get some clips of that first little leg 2 down with my mom and to see my sister before I go head down to Santa Cruz, where Steve's gonna build out the van. So yay, I'm glad you guys are all get to be along with me on my journey in some way, and I hope to share really a lot of very cool, very beautiful, stunning imagery with you.